In this lesson, we're going to finish modeling the details underneath the rear end. Alright, so really quickly, I want to do something with the piece that we had created in the last lesson. I want to extend it out a little bit further. Instead of making it like a tube, let's make it more of like an insert, kind of like a flat piece of plastic with this shape. And so I'll show you how we'll do that. Really quickly, let's go to polygon mode. Let's select this loop of polygons. So select this one, hold shift, and select the next one in line, and then hit grow one time, and then delete that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to edge mode, and let me isolate this, and let's hit Z so we can zoom in on it a little bit closer, and double click on this edge, and then double click on this edge. Then what we're going to do is we're going to remove the selection from here. So hold Alt, and we'll also do it from here as well. So we should have every other edge except for these four. Then hold Shift, drag this back to this point here. Okay, so it should look like that. Then you're going to go to edge mode, select these two edges on the outside, bridge that. That will close that gap, and then we'll select these and bridge that gap. Now it's going to create kind of an odd shape underneath, so I'm going to take this vertex here and I'm going to pull that up, and then do the same thing for this. Okay, until this straightens out. So I'm going to pull that up, and then also this one. So we should get a shape that looks like this. Go ahead and turn off isolation mode. And what that will allow us to do is it will allow us to build in our geometry that goes underneath that, and we can cut through that without worrying about any gaps or anything like that. And plus, I think it just looks a little sharper. All right, so now let's create this part right here. We could do that the exact same way that we've just done. Nothing wrong with that. You know, it does take just a little bit of time to get it shaped properly, but I think what I want to do instead is let's borrow the geometry from our car. Let's actually stop drawing lines there for a second. Select the body of the car, go to your Modify panel, and then Editable Poly. Go to Edge Mode, and then I want you to select these edges right here. So I'm going to go to my perspective view so you can see this. Select this edge, and then the one basically in that entire loop that goes around. Okay, so just like that. And then with that selection, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a shape from that selection. Make sure that it's set to linear, and then hit OK. You'll notice that it's gone ahead and created the settings that we had from before. And that's okay. Perfectly fine with that. Now I do want to go ahead and extend its length just to make it thicker like we have with this. And then we'll grab our Move tool. And actually, let's go to our Hierarchy panel. Effect Pivot Only, Center to Object. And then set the X value to 0. Turn off Effect Pivot Only, and then just move it in the Y direction. And so the only thing that we should see here is this piece. We want it to butt right up into this. Now, there are a couple of problems that I have with this really quickly. First thing is if I go to my back view, you can see that this looks pretty good right here, but then we can start to see the inside of that, and then this turns down a little bit too much, in my opinion. And so we can begin to maybe adjust the angle of this a little bit, see if we can get a different angle on how that looks there. But I just don't know if it's going to give me everything that I require out of it. So let me hit Control Z one time. And what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go ahead and convert it to Editable Poly. Let's take the edges on the inside. So basically I'm holding down Shift, selecting the next polygon, and let's also get rid of these edges on the end and delete that. And let's also get rid of these polygons. So we're left with just this strip of polygons. Okay. Let's go to our back view. What I want to do is I want to go to vertex mode. Let me pull that in. Okay, and same thing here. Let me pull that in. And really quickly, let's take all the polygons in this, and we're just going to say make planar. Let's make planar in the Z direction, maybe. No, let's do the Y. Nope, the X. So it's going to make it nice and flat like this. Now what this is going to do is it's going to make sure that I have everything set and it's nice and flat and all I have to do is just push these points back into place. So if I go to my back view, hit V and K, well, let's see. That didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Try that one more time. Let's take all those vertices. Let's make planar in, and actually let me check something really quickly. I think it did work, but our X-form might be off. Yep, that's exactly what's happening. So here's a good example. If you try to use like the make planar or something like that, and it doesn't line up properly, you'll want to check your local direction, like on your move tool. Go ahead and turn that off there. And you'll see here that it appears to be fine, but something clearly is not working properly. And as you can see, here's the local direction on all of these polygons, and it's got this odd direction. And so what I want to do is I want to go ahead and use the X-form tool. So reset X-form, reset selected, go to your modify panel, right click on it, convert to editable poly. So now if I select all those polygons, and then I use make planar in the, let's see, the Y direction, you'll see that it flattens that out. So if we go to our left view, it looks nice and neat. Let me pull that out here. And then if we go to our back view, you'll see that it still looks right. So now at this point, what we'll do is we'll just start pulling these vertices into position. So I'm going to take these, I'm going to pull those back until it touches the edge there. Do the same thing here. Let me actually pull that in the view. So push that back there. And then we'll take this one and this one at the same time. Pull that back to here. And we'll pull this back. And then this one. Okay, so let's go to our back view here. And then we'll have to make some adjustments. Let me actually pull this forward. Pull all these forward for right now until they meet the outside edge. It's just going to be easier to line up that way. Pull those there. Okay. Let's take this. Let's pull that back in the Y. So that way it's matching up to that edge there. And then in our back view, let's go ahead and take these points. Let's pull that in. Hit Alt-X on that one. Oops. Let's select that set of polygons there. Let me pull this over to here, and then I'll take this one and pull that over. And actually, I want to bring both of those together. Sorry about that. And then we're going to pull this here. Okay, and let's pull this out till it meets that outside edge. Okay, now that's positioned properly. Okay, now let's hit V and then K to go to our back view. We may have to do just a little bit of an adjustment to some of this, try to get the right thickness to all of this. Let me go ahead and pull that down some. And actually, let me leave that. Okay, so now let's take the border. That should select everything there. I'm going to hold Shift, and I'm going to drag that straight back, and we're going to add the thickness just like we did on the other piece. Then let's add a Turbo Smooth, and let's bump up our iterations, Isoline Display, and from here we need to add some segments so that way it will retain its rectangular shape. So let's go to Edit Poly, Show End Result, go to Edge Mode, and Edit Swift Loop. We're going to add a loop right around the front here. So there and then below. And then we'll also go right across the top like that. And then we'll also do this across the back. There we go. Let's see. Let's add one more. Swift loop right there, and then also right here. Perfect. Okay, so then with that, let's pull that back, And, well, it's not quite matching up with this. Something has happened. Let's see. I think I moved these down by accident. Let's pull that back up to where it's resting right on top of that. Let's pull these to where they are right up against that edge. And we'll pull that down. Okay. And then pull this across here. And then we'll just try to pull out these edges. You know, some of these parts can be a little tricky. I want to make sure that we get a little bit of a lip underneath that, but I don't want it to stick out too far. So here's the fun part, just trying to figure out exactly where you want it to be placed and then getting that to fit with everything else. Let me go ahead and pull all these down. There we go. Now it's starting to come out there. I really want that to go in, and I want this one to go in as well. So it looks like it's intersecting there. And let's take this, pull that back. And we'll take this and we'll pull that back as well. Alright, so now with this, let's go to Turbo Smooth. Let's add 3 segments to that, make it really smooth. And I need to kind of take care of this corner a little bit. So let's go to Edit, Edge Mode, and let's add in a loop. Let's add it right about here. Well, there we go, maybe right there and here. Just trying to look at that shape there that we're getting. And, you know, it seems like it's following that pretty well. It's not too bad. Let me pull that down. And let's add the loop right about here, maybe. Pull that up. Kind of like that. Getting really close. So I'm glad you guys are sticking with me this far. This is the part that gets really tricky. You know, getting these details to fit, trying to get them to look right on the rest of the car. This can be a very difficult portion. Let's take this bottom corner. Let me pull that out some. I just need this corner right here to kind of sink right up in there a little bit more. Maybe pull that up, kind of like that. And at this point, I'm looking at the smoothed surface of this. I'm no longer looking at the low poly resolution, because again, this is about the end result at this point. We were really only worried about it on the car itself because of the seams and things like that. But these are details. All right, so now we've got that part in. Now, I know that I said we were going to finish this up, but that took a lot longer than I expected it to. You know, we really need to make sure that we take care of these details, making sure that they fit just right. Maybe even pull this out a little bit more, and even this corner. Trying to get that to look as close as possible to our reference image, okay, and to the car itself. And I'm really liking the way that's looking so far. It's looking nice and crisp, coming right up in there. You may need to tweak yours just a little bit more. Just continue to move and you know, add the shapes that you need to get that. So in the next lesson, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and create the cross beam right here. And that's actually indented a little bit. And then I want to create the exhaust, okay? Or not the exhaust, but the grate that's in there, okay? I'm going to let you create these little pieces right here. They're very simple. They're just little boxes. They're actually separate pieces. They're going to intersect just like we had before. We'll place those in. You could actually probably borrow some geometry from this if you need to. Place those in between lessons. It's pretty simple to do. And then the next lesson we'll come in, we'll create the exhaust pieces and then the little shell that goes around that and get ready for the grill or the grate that goes along the back here. So I'll see you in the next lesson.